Well, hello everyone. I have right here, I've shown you right here is an example right here of like a picture right here that talks about the just doing my job right here. And a lot of times it's like whenever I do think about this, I also keep thinking too that yeah, could you really explain the story of the situation whenever it comes to if you're trying to do something or maybe if you're trying to work something or improve something or something like that. And a lot of times it's like, yeah, so every time you do think about it and you're 102, yeah, you were just doing your job during the time. And let's just say one of your jobs is maybe going to be babysitting. It could also be related to about, you'll keep an eye on, yeah, you're keeping a, you're paying attention to the children or something like that, especially if you're going to be a parent. And so it sure seems that when we talk about responsibilities a lot of times with most parents, you got mom and dad right here, and that 102 is toward it. Yeah, that when we talk about just doing my job right here, and it's like yeah. So each time you think about that, and you're warned toward it, yeah, that most of the time it's not really able to explain the whole situation or so. But let's just say that you know the way for what I'm talking about right here is actually talking about parenting, right? But still, it's like whenever somebody says that they're just doing their job most of the time, what exactly is it that that they're really referring to? And like everybody might say, that usually that means is toward it. Was that really necessary? Whenever for what you were doing, was that really required for what you were doing? And that includes which it causes toward yeah, you could have been wrong, and that was wrong for you to do that or something like that, or that could have been yeah, the situation could have been a lot worse or something like that. But I have right here of shown right here of the two parents right here, and with the child right here holding hands right here. And if we can all see this right here, that this right here actually shows right here, if we look real closely right here, is the child holding mommy's hand right here. And we all want to know too, is to where that, really, what does that really show anybody? And let's just say if it was supposed to be any sort of logo design or anything like that, what does that really teach you whenever you do hold hands? And especially, yeah, if you're going to be maybe at a festival or some event or somewhere like that, and people want to know too is to where, yeah, you draw the pictures right here of the little brother and the big sister right here, and want to know too the little brother is going to be in the stroller right here. And the stroller right here, this little push stroller right here. And so it's like, yeah, so each time you think about that, and you're warned to where that, yeah, that, we're talking about the little infant toddler, about 4 or 5 years old right here, pushing them around in a stroller. And you're thinking as to where that, really, that for the most part, like the parents, the mom or the dad will be pushing the kid around in the stroller, but it's like, yeah, it's all supposed to prove that we were all together while we went on this event, while we went on this special occasion, right? And so it sure seems that way. That does this really explain to anybody about really anything? But still that. But one thing that I did want to point out here was that this was the kid right here, and it's like yeah that you got right here the mom pushing the stroller with her right hand, but then she's holding the child's hand with her left hand right here. So you've already got your hands full with both kids right here, pushing the stroller around and then holding the child's hand. So if there was like any sort of logo design or something like that in year 102 is to where that yeah that you may think about that is to where that you got that job just because that you thought that you were wrong, or that you thought that maybe that there was no necessary purpose to why that you were doing that or something like that. But like everybody else might say that whenever you do think about that and you're warned toward it, yeah, I am just, yeah, just doing our job, even though if we were wrong. And so I have right here that, yeah, this right here with wrong right here, and going sideways right here, and so it sure seems that way that yeah, that anybody that might even say too that whenever you do think about that, and want to know too that yeah, that even know that yeah, the situation, even though if the situation you could have been wrong on that situation, but still that really, what something like this? What is it really supposed to prove to anybody about whenever it comes to jobs, and whenever it comes to taking care of responsibility and also parenting? And everybody might even say that yeah, this right here was supposed to be a logo for sure. That it's supposed to represent is toward yeah, stay together as a group, and knowing about yeah. So it's like so everybody, yeah, even younger kids might even think about this and want to know if they want to go ahead and look at something like this, like a photograph right here, a photograph to where that, yeah, that that was you right there in the stroller right there. Your mommy was pushing you around in that stroller right there, and then while she was holding big sister's hand right here. And really, if this right here was supposed to be an example of any sort of logo design for sure that anybody would say is toward, okay, yeah, is that really supposed to explain to anybody about anything really? Or like everybody might say is toward, yeah, that the parents took you to this event, to this carnival, but then as you get older, then maybe you might realize that, okay, yeah, that could have been me. Yeah, that could have been me in this picture right here. That could have been me right there. And so every time you do think about that, and you may even think too that you look at any of these images or any of these pictures, and the first thing that's going to come to your mind is to where that yeah, that could have been me right there, or that looks like me right there. If I was there right there at the carnival, I was there at the fair, with mommy and daddy right there, and we were holding hands, and but still, it's like everybody else may say is toward, yeah, well, really, what is daddy doing? Mommy's holding she's yeah, she's with the kids, but daddy's kind of like there in the background, but still, yeah, holding, if anything, holding the bag, holding the luggage or something like that. If anything, is what daddy's doing, but still, it's like just doing my job right here. So it's like, yeah, so every time you think about that your 102 is toward, yeah, wrong right here, wrong, and everybody might even say too that how do you handle situations like that whenever it comes to yeah, well, I don't think that if it was right or wrong for you to do, even though that you didn't know the situation very well, but still that you see right here, yeah, just doing my job right here. So if I were to actually were to highlight this, and people may want to know too, is toward it, do you think for any reason, if you would want to maybe abbreviate that or something like that, but it's like yeah, just doing my job right here, just doing my job, and like let's just say that yeah, just I was just doing my job or something like that. So it sure seems that way that every time you do think about that, and you're 102, that if the person could have been right or wrong about what they were doing, such as they were yeah, they were babysitting the kids, and then they noticed something wrong or something like that, or that something that they were doing that that they decided to speak up about something or something like that. So it's like, so every time you think about that, and you're 102 is toward it, yeah, you were with mommy and daddy during the time, during this event right here. But mommy and daddy, of course, their job was to keep an eye on the children, right? Holding the kid's hand and pushing the toddler around in the stroller right here. But let's just say that this right here was supposed to be an example of any sort of logo in year 102 is toward, okay, yeah, a logo design. That logo right there is supposed to represent you for mommy and daddy. Maybe it could be an example, maybe of a display, maybe on, for vitamins, or maybe even on a cereal box or something like that. But each time you think about that, and you're warned to where that, yeah, that, I'm like, yeah, mommy and daddy, or I'm like, oh, yeah. So it's like, so each time you think about that, that the first thing that, that's maybe going to come to your mind is toward, hey, I was just doing my job. And so it's like, yeah, so every time you think about that, and you want to know too that, yeah, you were just doing your job. And whenever you were doing your job during the time, it seems like as to where that, yeah, you were just doing your job, and there was only so much that you really that you really knew during the time. There was only so much that you really could understand during the time, and really that you that you didn't realize during the time. So really, that it's like so whenever you do think about that, a lot of times it's like, yeah, that if you're going to be with mommy and daddy right here, mommy and daddy might even say that they don't think that they should be responsible for anything that goes on within about 50 feet behind them or something like that. So like everybody else might say that, yeah, that they're gonna, yeah, stay together as a group. You got little brother right here, and you got big sister right here, and mommy holding her hand right there, and thinking as to where that, yeah, logo design. And people might even say too that, yeah, I was just doing my job, but still, holding hands right here, that's something that I don't really see too much of time, even on a logo design right here. Everybody might say that, whenever you do hold somebody's hand, by the way, in case if anybody want to know too, that, yeah, you go ahead and use the paintbrush right here to go ahead and paint in a little bit more of the details right there. But, still, that, but every time you do think about that in year 102, is that, really, what does that usually mean whenever you are holding hands? And people might say is to where it's all about the form of connection, right? But then also that you could also be is to where, yeah, if it's a trust and knowing about, for what what the child, is saying, to the parent and all that. But do most parents may even say too that is to where whenever you do hold somebody's hand, by the way, do you think that you're able to recognize the situation a little bit more? Like, especially whenever it comes to whenever somebody, whenever they sweat, whenever they got they got sweat, come. I'm like, yeah, anybody say that, yeah, if it's do you think that maybe you can tell, any sorts of situation about what the child is thinking about, what they're saying, especially, like, yeah, fear or anything like that. And so every time you think about, yeah, especially, maybe first aid or something like that. But every time you think about that, and you're 102, yeah, for anything that you're going to be concerned about, right? But still, every time you think about that, and you're warned to where that, yeah, you could have been wrong, and you could, the first thing that you're going to be thinking about is the first thing you're going to say is, hey, I was just doing my job. But really, what does that even mean whenever you do say something like, I'm just doing my job? And it means is toward, okay, yeah, even though if you could have been wrong on the situation, that you still did something about it. You still check to make sure about that. And so that's why it seems like that each time you think about that in year 102 is that being a parent, though, that you're just you're thought to just ask and all that. But like most parents might even say too that yeah, you're going to be with but still, like I said before, that if you're going to try to show mommy and daddy something, especially, and want to know too a lot of things, what do you think it's going to be that you can show mommy and daddy? And like, how to use, how to use the iPhone or something like that, or maybe how to use a smartphone or a tablet or something like that. But still, I was just doing my job right here, and so everybody might say is toward the parent's job, of course, is the parent's job is to stay together with the kids, to hold the child's hand while daddy is carrying the luggage or something like that. And so the first thing that you're going to be thinking about is that even though if what you were trying to do really had nothing to do with what was necessary or something like that, but still, each time we think about that, and you're 102 is toward it, that you put together right here is a painting right here of both mom and dad right here, and somebody's going to maybe say is toward, okay, that you painted the details right here, and I can show everybody here. You got right here with that little boy right here, and everybody might even say too that you got the little boy right here, and knowing that whenever it comes to the things for which you try to remember whenever it comes to going to the special events and all that, and everybody might say that the little brother may not remember very well that event that you were going to. I'm like, people might say that little brother was asleep in the stroller, while big sister and mommy were walking around. That they were walking around, while they went to that carnival, and so it's like So whenever you do think about that, and you're 102, that whenever mommy's gonna be pushing you around in the stroller, and you might even think too that you really, if you were really too young to realize what was really going on. But everybody else might say that if you're going to be in the stroller, you're going to be in the stroller right here. But everybody might say that for sure, if you're going to be in the stroller, for sure, you don't realize that one of these days that could also be an example of a logo design. And that logo design right here will be is toward, okay, that logo design. The logo design right there pretty much means is to, are you shopping around for anything in particular, or are you just walking around taking a tour of the place or something like that? But still, it's like so if it seems like it that So the first thing that I'm going to be thinking about for sure is that with this little boy in the stroller right here, it's like you got mommy and daddy right here, but it's like the little boy don't realize what's really going on. Like you got mommy and daddy right here. They're gonna be walking around the park, or maybe going to this event. And maybe the toddler don't really realize what is really going on, and so that's why it seems like anybody that might say that you're trying to explain to somebody that about this, that you're trying to show them a picture that whenever you were about 4 or 5, that we took you to that event, and we're trying to explain to you if this right here was supposed to be a logo design right here or something like that. You're trying to explain to them about back in the earlier years that this is how we did that right there. That we had a stroller whenever you were younger. That we had you in the stroller, and we walked around, and when we went to that event, and we held your big sister's hand, and then we were with a few friends of ours, and that's what we did. We walked around, and so it's like so whenever you do think about that, and you're warned to where that for any source of logo design. But the first thing that's going to be coming to my mind, of course, is that I was just doing my job. And you think is to where, okay, that would probably be something that maybe the parents will be saying. Mommy and daddy both would probably be saying is toward it, that anything that they were doing or anything that they were working with in a 102 is toward it, they could have been wrong, or hey, that do you think that it was right or wrong that that they were that nosy, or they were that concerned, about something that was going on, and so that's why it seems like everybody that with mommy and daddy right here, and 102 is that yeah, just doing our job, and but still, it's like so each time you think about that, and you're warned to where that yeah, that do you think that maybe that the purpose of the job maybe just went just a little bit too far or something like that? But still, so every time I think about that, and like everybody says, to where that we talk about wrong right here. When we talk about wrong, does that pretty much means is to where that somebody is like, yeah, that you start speaking up about something, or you start talking about something and start doing something, and somebody says wrong, well, close or something like that. They don't even say close too much at a time. They just say, wrong. But still, people might even want to know too that, you know, hey, why can't you give the person a little bit of credit, just for doing that? And like say that, yeah, were you even close to what was needed? And but it's like, yeah, so every time you do think about that, and you want to know too that, like, yeah, what does it usually mean whenever you see writing like that going sideways? Everybody might say that that's usually meaning is as toward a yeah. Whenever you want to go ahead and put in an exclamation point right there, a lot of times it's like, yeah, that's usually what it means. Everybody might say that, yeah, exclamation point, and make sure you put it sideways. For any reason at all, like everybody say, if there's any reason at all why you would want to do that, I really don't know, but I guess it's supposed to represent, for another way of saying is to where that if everything was going the same direction for sure, do you think that that would really change anything? So you can maybe try that. You go ahead and just write it sideways right here, or maybe write vertically or something like that. And like everybody say, anything that you would want to add right there, and if you want to maybe put right here, you're correct. So if you were to write correct right there, and maybe, yeah, with the question mark, and somebody might say that, okay, I don't get it, and then, yeah, you put it like that right there. So it sure seems, I'm like, yeah, so if you were to write like that, like everybody might say that, really, for any designer, if you're going to be a designer, by the way, that, could you possibly answer that question to where that if you're going to be writing any text on this front part of this infographic or this poster board right here, you write right or wrong on here, but then at the same time, you're going to go ahead and write right, you're going to write wrong on here. You're going to write correct right here on the left, but then wrong right here on the right here. And so you want to know too that maybe just a little bit that does that kind of raise the question to where that does it really, is it recognized whenever you do that? By the way, and people might say that, well, mommy and daddy, daddy would maybe even say too that go ahead and put correct right there in the middle with the question mark, so that way we can kind of go back and piece together the evidence or anything like that that needs to be realized, and so that way we can review the information or anything like that. But still, like everybody else might say that, besides if it's if it's babysitting or something like that, but besides insurance or anything else that you're going to be talking about, that your 102 is to where that between right and wrong, that why do you think that you would want to do that? Why do you think that you would write wrong right here with the exclamation point right close right there, but then write it sideways right here? And yeah, I was just doing my job. And, yeah, or if you want to go ahead and maybe put, something like right here on the bottom. Like, yeah, we were just doing our job. Yeah, we are doing our job right here, and so it's like, yeah, so every time you think about that, it's like it's going to kind of remind you just a little bit of a meeting room, right? You're going to have like a meeting talking about stuff like that, and the 102 that yeah, that who? Okay, I thought that I thought we were talking about just one or two people right here. So every time you think about that, and you're always 102 is to where that why do you think that you would want to put one compound paragraph sentences into about maybe 4 or 5 different subjects right there? And everybody else would maybe ask that question to where that it seems to be so simple just by looking at this picture right here, knowing that everything looks to be all just fine right here. There's only about maybe 5 people all together right here in a group. But then whenever you start asking the questions and start talking about something, that's whenever that the first thing that you're going to come to your mind for sure is that I was just doing my job. And like everybody else would say is toward it, yeah, well, what does that mean? Who was just doing their job? So it's like, yeah, I was just doing my job. We are just doing our job, and then yeah, we are doing our job, or we will do our job, or something like that. So every time you think about that, and you're 102, that yeah, that's whenever a lot of those that's whenever those meetings usually come around, is that you're talking about that you're not just talking about maybe one or two subjects, but you're talking about maybe 5, you know, causes, and also 5 subjects, and that's whenever it kind of multiplies and all that, and so that's why it seems like every time you do think about that, and you're warned to worm that really how much is really too much. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, I was just doing my job right here, and so yeah, so if you're going to be looking at a resume for sure, and at 102 is, so I'm like, yeah, job description, especially job description, and people maybe 102 is to where that yeah, a lot of times everybody's going to be asking the simple facts. They ask the simple questions, and they want at least a reasonable answer for something that they ask, but really, that how do you answer that question whenever it comes to doing your job? And like everybody says, to where you respond to that just by saying this, to where you could have been wrong about the situation. Was that really required for the situation? Was that really necessary for the situation? But at the same time, it's like, each time you think about that in 102, that, hey, they were just doing their job. You don't need to be getting mad at them just yet about that. But still, it's like, but every time you think about that, then you're 102 that yeah, if you were to actually write sideways, if you were to write vertically, any designer might even say too, could you answer that question to where that why do you think that writing vertically like that is really going to explain anything? I can probably say too that really that if you were to write like that for sure, that number one, that it's no longer really a title or a headline. What you really are trying to do is you're trying to put in a few points right there. You trying to a direct point. That's what it is, a direct point to where that you're trying to point somebody in it to that direction toward it. Okay, this is what you need to follow up with. Like yeah, like these. Instead of looking at arrows right here, you're looking at words right here. So any designer, any graphic designer, would even say that what you would in order for you to be able to get those listeners' attention for sure, you were to write right or wrong on here, or even close, if that's even close to what the actual facts were. And you think as to where, okay, yeah, but I would think that that would be written up here, wouldn't it? Why would you want to go ahead and yeah? Why would you want to make it even bigger? Why would you want to make it bigger and to fill up? So every time you think about that, then you want to know too that you make this bigger and maybe even change the colors and all that. Why would you want to do that? And I guess the best answer for this is more likely, like everybody else would say, that this is really is supposed to, yeah, is it really supposed to just maybe just teach you a lesson about stuff like that? About okay, yeah, that whenever you first, you go ahead and yeah, like maybe like a backdrop or something, like infographic. You got mom and dad right here in the background, but then you have these wordings right here. And somebody might say that, yeah, you go ahead and tell somebody that, you know, uh, so yeah, for any reason at all, why you would want to put this right here on the right side and then put correct right here on the left side. And it seems like it is to where that could be worded maybe a lot in a lot of different ways for sure. But let's just say maybe the simple way that you can want to put it is to where that this is what yeah that you say that just because of the fact that if you were wrong for some for any reason at all, like yeah, a change of a direction for how something was worded. So every time you think about that and you're 102 that okay, yeah, that you start out the sentence was toward I was just doing my job. And then you say on here, but it was close. I was just doing my job, but then I was wrong. Yeah, I was just doing my job, but then I was correct earlier, but then I was wrong. Yeah, I was very close to the conclusion, for tomorrow or something like that. But still, it's like so every time you think about that, and you're warned to where that why do you think that you wouldn't want to write like that? Why would you want to write sideways like that? And I really think it is toward that you're trying to change direction to how the language, how how the wording is pronounced. And if there's any better way of how to describe it, for sure, but still, so I see that a lot of times, and it sure seems that way that not everybody's really going to understand it for sure, especially if they weren't there to realize the situation. And so that's why it seems like that, don't you think that maybe it would make more sense to go ahead and put in a few words and comments, maybe written in thin air, like, yeah, you go ahead and write it in a wave or something like that. But, everybody might say is toward it, just to kind of make it a little bit less confusing for that reason. But still, I was just doing my job. Yeah, I was just doing my job, and that's something that you would say, right? And we are just we are doing our job, or yeah, we are we were doing our job. And so every time you think about that, and you're thinking as toward it, number one, how many people are even working at the same time? Yeah, we were just doing our job. We were just doing our jobs. Yeah. So it's like so every time you think about that, and you're warned toward it, the simple facts. The simple facts are not really going to be recorded right here, just because of the fact that not everybody's really going to understand, because of the fact that yeah, if you were to read an article for sure. But still, really, what can we really learn? Like everybody say that to are you really going to admit to anybody that you were wrong? You were wrong in the first place, or you were wrong about this? Do you take full responsibility for anything that goes wrong, or you go ahead and admit it that you made a mistake? You were wrong about that, and so that's why it seems like that. That every time you think about that, even on a job, job training, or even on a resume, that how how do you take a full responsibility whenever it comes to if you were wrong during the process of what was needed, to be done. Like everybody says, toward it, whenever you think about the facts, if you were wrong during the situation, how do you handle that? And everybody else would even say that, well, I don't take full responsibility for anything that goes wrong. Actually, that I actually blame somebody else for what goes wrong, or something like myself. So yeah, so it's like a so every time you think about that, then you want to know too that, yeah, well, number one, that would probably be highlighted in yellow. So if you're going to go ahead and maybe do a poster design right here in 102, that yeah, go ahead and highlight that in yellow. And so it's like, yeah, so every time if you were to make a point about something for sure, you go ahead and make a point, a perspective about something that it would be printed at about right here, and then maybe right here, and then somebody's going to maybe say wrong right here. So it's like, so if you're going to be a designer designing something like this right here, and you're 102, yeah, back and forth, right? And really, what does that really teach anybody anything? Even if you're wrong, what does that really teach you? What does that really teach anybody anything? For sure. And if you're right or wrong about something. And somebody might say is to where it's all about the trust, right? But let's just say, even if you are wrong about something, that you're trying to get that corrected and all that, but really, do you take full responsibility over anything that goes wrong? And people might say is to where, well, really, that if you were to take responsibility for something that goes wrong for sure, what would your reaction be to that? And like most parents might even say that that's the hardest part about being a parent, right? Whenever you do take full responsibility for something that goes wrong. And, anybody could probably say that. Really, if you take full responsibility for something that goes wrong, for sure, that's maybe the worst part about the situation, right? Anything that goes wrong, you want to prove to everybody that you were right. You want to prove to everybody that you were correct about the situation. But it sure seems that way. Really, what do you really learn about being wrong? And like everybody says, to well, really, I mean, you could probably learn a lot of things about being wrong. Actually, that you based on your experience, though, that yeah, people blame you for being wrong, and maybe they're going to be yelling at you for being wrong, and maybe they're not going to show as much trust for you for being wrong. But everybody might say that really, if that right there was supposed to be even on a job description for sure, that don't you think that you take full responsibility for anything that goes wrong, right? And your word is toward yeah, that you think is toward anything that does go wrong for sure. What do you think that you would want to put on that job description, especially if you're going to be a parent, or especially if you're going to be holding a job? And they say is toward, at least what you can admit is toward, you can say is toward, it was an honest mistake, and that yeah, you try to prevent that from happening again, and yeah, so stuff like that. And so each time you do think about that, and you're warned to where that yeah, that whenever it comes to understanding about right or wrong, though, and you're warned to where that you don't like being you don't like the answer being incorrect, like everybody else would say that it's very frustrating, especially whenever if you are wrong for over a situation, or maybe if you were incorrect a couple of times. That pretty much shows is that that is not very professional whenever that happens, right? So that's why it seems like that I was just doing my job, and so that's why it seems like the first thing that you're going to maybe probably be thinking about is mom and dad. But really, does that really have anything to do with love, or over the fact that they don't trust you on for that responsibility and also taking care of the situation? Well, that's not true either. That pretty much means is to where that yeah, we all make mistakes, but at the same time, though, it seems like as to where that another way of how you want to explain it is as to where level 1 and level 2 or so of about how many years of experience do you really have to have. But still, really, I would maybe like to know too as to where that when we do talk about wrong right here, that everybody might say as to where how many how many professionals are going to think about as to really what do you really learn for being wrong, and what sorts of experience do you gain just for being wrong about something, and how do you manage that for being wrong about something. And the first thing that I'm going to may probably say is that really that whenever you do think about wrong, no, that you're also thinking about is as to where that you want to go ahead and look back at all of the information. Yeah, you want to look back at all the information and go back and review all the information, all the clues and everything, and put them all together and all that. So it's like so every time you do think about that, and people may want to know too that yeah, for sure that you go ahead and go back and review all that information, and it seems like that's really kind of like what it's all about too, is that if you go back, yeah, a review, it's called known as a review, right? So each time you think about that, and you're wondering to where that yeah, it's a review, and pretty much is a review pretty much means that you look over all the information that was provided there at the beginning, there at the very beginning, that looking over all the information that is present, and so that way they can determine what you to be able to solve it, solve a problem, right? Just to be able to solve the situation. And so the first thing that you're going to be thinking about, of course, is both mom and dad, right? So everybody might say that yeah, that you look at this right here as an example right here of a design right here, and thinking as to where yeah, if you were to teach mom and dad anything in particular, and but still, it's like, yeah, I don't see this too often at a time. Everybody, both mommy and daddy, together, mommy holding, daughter's hand right here. I don't really see that too much at a time on a lot of these logos, by the way. So that's why it seems like that whenever you do see that, by the way, that you're warned to where really, what does that really teach you anything about about what the children are thinking about, what the children are doing? It's like, yeah, while you're walking, especially while you're walking, that walking and holding hands, does that really speak to the parents about just to understand that what exactly is it that they're thinking about? What is it that they're saying? But anyway. But that's what I'm gonna talk about right here, is that you're just doing my job, and so it's the first thing is first, though, is that babysitting. You start out your career as maybe doing babysitting work, or maybe doing Girl Scouts or something like that, doing social work or something like that, maybe working in fast food or something like that, and you want to know too is to where that you were just doing your job, and even though if you could have been wrong, but then it all kind of goes by as to where that that you go ahead and write sideways right here, and people may want to know too that that really, I'm like, well, what does that even mean? And but I just really think in a lot of ways I look at that more as that change of a direction, to change direction, you go ahead and write on here, include a subtitle or just any comments or anything like that right here, and then right here you would put on here that okay, change of direction, okay, that was correct right there, or no, that was not necessary, yeah, okay, that's okay for that, and so yeah, so each time you think about that, and you're 102, that yeah, you got the youngest right here that doesn't realize what is really going on right here. So it's like, yeah, so each time you do look back, it could be maybe 5 years later, and people want to know too that, Is that right there supposed to be me right there on the front cover right there? There in the stroller or something like that. But anyway, but I just I'm just talking, but still that on the other hand, talk about for review right here and it's wrong, but still, but what do we really learn by our wrongdoing, right? Knowing about that you were wrong, and but still that yeah, you have an explanation to share, right? And like everybody else might say that if you want to look at that is toward it maybe a closing statement or something like that. A lot of speakers would say that it's known as like a closing statement, toward between right or wrong. Yeah, conclusion. A lot of writers would say it's known as a conclusion. But still, it's like you start talking about things, and when they say, "Yeah, I was just doing my job," we are just doing our job. But anyway, but I thought I'd go ahead and show everybody here this right here that yeah, mother and daughter, you're holding hands right here, and I can go ahead and zoom in on her daughter a little bit more. But like everybody else might say, is that yeah, every time you do think about that, and 102 that yeah, you got the daughter right here, and the daughter looks like I'm like, yeah, you got both children right here. You got children right here, and thinking this toward, okay, yeah, we're all together, but then, yeah, by the time the kids grow up and then they want to go ahead and start asking their parents, some of the questions and all that, really, what can you really teach mommy and daddy, even though that back whenever you were younger, that, you were too young to really understand what all that mommy and daddy took you to the carnival, even took you to the zoo and to the fair, any other source of events, and 102 that yeah, you were really too young to understand all that. But still. But at the same time, we're talking about for a logo design. And everybody says to her, yeah, logo design, right? That with the logo design, that you have mommy and daddy right here, but then with this logo design is to where it's now available to download on your smartphone and even on your tablet. And so it's like, yeah, so really, could we really say something like mommy speaks she now speaks even on the Kindle, or even on the mobile phone or on the iPhone or something, but on the smart TV, the smart television, and something like that. But still, that but whenever I do think about this, a lot of times it's like 102 is that yeah, I was just doing my job, and and yeah, mommy and daddy, they were just doing their job, even though if they didn't really know the situation very well, even though if they didn't know those people very well, but still, that realize the facts and realize the situation. But anyway, really, like everybody else might say, is to where yeah, this is how we met right here. We met. I can include that too, real quick. Everybody say that yeah, this is yeah, we met. This is how we met right here. Yeah, we meet. We meet. How about yeah, we meet at we meet here. Yeah, we meet here or something like that. I can just say that. We meet here, and you want to put a period or exclamation point or something, something like that. But anyway, just showing everybody here that yeah, we meet here. So if you want to put that on the very bottom right here, put that at the very bottom right there, and then go ahead and white right here. Put that at the bottom right here and say is to her, yeah, we meet here. And yeah, so the way I have this presented right here is that both mommy and daddy, you're going to be walking forward, walking closer, and yeah, we meet here. The way that's Okay, put that at the bottom, right there. Yeah, we meet here. So yeah, so it's like every time you think about that in your 102, that about 5 or maybe 10, 11 different topics there explained right here. And the 102 is that, yeah, anybody that's going to be looking at that for sure is maybe going to say that, yeah, I kind of get it and kind of don't, but, there at the same time, when we talk about, holding hands right here and pushing the kid around in the stroller right there. And people might say that, really, why do you think that that would be used for any sorts of logo design, any sorts of front cover design? But people might say, yeah, a lot of it has to do with the community and also parenting and also, that babysitting. If you're going to be together as a group, you got mommy and daddy right here. It can be a lot of things, but still, that I mainly want to talk about right here is a kid in a stroller right here. And so everybody says to her, yeah, a little kid, a baby in a stroller right there. I don't see that too much at a time. Holding hands or a little kid in a stroller right here. So you want to know too that, why don't they really do that? Why don't they put those, something like that even on the magazines? That those babies are not really going to realize what is really going on, and they might ask about it in 102 that, really, why, do you think that maybe it would be a good idea to go ahead and put an infant on a stroller, put a stroller on the front part of a magazine right there, and just to talk about a story right there. The story about is that, yeah, whenever you were just a baby, whenever you were just a baby, that you were there, you were there at that event, at that carnival, and so I don't really see that too much at a time, and so in a lot of ways, I just really think in a lot of ways that yeah, would you encourage any publishing, I'm like, yeah, any companies to go ahead and do that? If you're trying to, any parents that would say is toward it would really be helpful if they knew how to do that, knowing that that with their children that you go ahead and show a picture right here of a kid in a stroller right there, just because that toddler doesn't realize what is really going on during the time of that event, and then also include a story. Include a story about this is how, we reunited with your cousins. This is how we met right here, and so I would think that would be a pretty good idea, just to do that. But like everybody might say that at the same time that 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 little toddler in a stroller, but really, is that really for any purpose to why that people would really pay attention to that? Why they would really see that is like a source of like, oh, well, what about the kid in the stroller? But still, it's like, yeah, well, the kid's the youngest, and for sure, they don't realize what is really going on during the situation, and so it's like whenever they grow up, they don't realize the situation, and that's whenever they're going to say is to where, yeah, you trying to try to put those pieces of the puzzle together, and your 102 is to where, yep, I was just doing my job, even though if you don't realize it, there at the beginning, I was just doing my job. You'll understand it whenever you get older. You'll understand it whenever time goes on. But like everybody else would even say too, that you really need to recognize all the stuff that you put together right here. But anyway, thanks for watching, everyone, and have a great day.